Hi everybody, it's Ade here from Skidmore second-hand tyres with Stealth Nurse Kathy and young Jim, the cabin boy. We've finally got to the Grove Ferry Boat Club, and the slipway's just behind us, and this is the launch of Hornet. This is the name of the boat. For some years, quite a few years, I had an old car, a 1932 Wolseley Hornet Special, and I've never had really the money, probably the mechanical know-how to work on that, to restore it. And a guy came along and was interested in it, so I sold it to him, and I made the space in the workshop, then the garage, to do what was originally going to be a build but turned into the restoration of this boat. So I thought, I'll paint it green and call it Hornet. And the guy was a very great old car collector, and he restored it in about 6 months, I think, maybe a year. We did have a bargain that who would be on the road or on the water first, but he won hands down, and a very nice job he did too. And I couldn't have wished it to go to a better home, because it was a little bit heartbreaking seeing it there in the garage and thinking, I'd like to work on that, but it's just too big and scary a job. So I took the next best thing and did this little job that wasn't just quite so scary. This is the scary moment. This is the bit that I'm really I've been working towards for nearly 2.5 years, and it's come down to this now. But I've got my support from my family. They've come to support me. And we're going to go out in a second. We're going to get sorted out and drop her down into the water. And I believe you did remember to bring the beer, didn't you, darling?
There is beer.
There is beer, good. I don't have any religion at all, but I think a christening with some beer and just to tell the river we respect it, be a nice thing to do. Right, let's get sorted. On shaky cam, but there's the launch ramp, and that's the river we're going in.
Yeah, you're still clear. Maybe left hand down a touch. Yeah, you'll be fine. Oh, this is where the edge is. Hey? This stick is where the edge is. Onto.
Is it in the water, yeah?
No. About 2 foot away from the water. Trailer wheels are in.
The arse end wet.
No,
You've got about
2 foot there. There you go. Bit of an angle.
sooner. And then we can switch it.
Learning curve.
Yep.
We're not in the water now. That's it. Right, we're off. Nice and slow. Can you move out of the way, please? Whoa! We're still stuck. Here you go. Boat's free. Okay. No water in it yet.
Oh, getting emotional. I'm getting emotional. This is to say thank you to the river, and we'll look after you. Floats well, doesn't it?
It does.
Can't hear any gurgling.
There's no water.
That's brilliant. Does anyone else like a drink? Couldn't eat a whole one at breakfast, could you? Right, I suppose the next thing to do is for me to get in and do a bit of rowing. If you don't mind, before you all get in as well,
Yeah.
I want to sort of like drift out into the river and row up and down a little bit, get a bit of practice before we load up the rest of the stuff and go for a trip. Push off the front a little bit, please.
Oh, what, to fit under?
Yeah, to fit underneath.
We're not so much on shaky cam now as floaty cam. We're finally out, all three of us together, and we've come probably only a couple of 100 metres up from where we put in, but today really is just purely a shakedown to start getting used to the boat and doing things with it. There's some moorings up ahead, so we stop before we get there so don't upset anyone and disturb anyone at the moment whilst we're sort of drifting around trying to find out what we're meant to do. But we got the kettle on, my ambitions obviously of doing all sorts of stuff today have gone out the window when I realised just how much you don't know. I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know, the more you think you know. But I'm going to now turn the boat around because we're drifting away from the bank and get back somewhere a little bit so we can make our coffee. But how are you enjoying it so far?
Loving it.
Oh yeah, sorry, loving it.
Thank you, darling.
No, I only bought one pan.
Oh, there we go. Well, we've got our first battle scars. That was when I slipped the handbrake a bit sharpish at the start, and it's gone through the green coat. And there's a couple of others on the sides where we were moored up a bit. But as far as it goes, the first time out, I had a great time. Did the rest of you have
I
a
had a great time as well.
Great time.
Good. And now, where's it gone? It's hard to see in the sunshine. There we go. Pan full of bacon. We were going to do it on the boat, but I said in the end it's a bit too optimistic to do that as well as everything else that we've done today. So we've both done some rowing, Jimmy and I, and it's been good, hasn't it?
Very.
Very good.
Lovely.
So now we're going to tie the boat down in a bit, pack up and head for them there hills. I would just like to say thank you to everyone who's followed the progress of this boat through the years, and your help, your support and advice if you've given me any, and basically just by watching the videos has been a real boost, and it's sort of like I made the commitment that I was going to see this through to the end and onto the water because of the very people who've been watching the videos, and I'm really pleased that I did, because it's been worth it. I've enjoyed every second of doing this, and today I've had a great time. The boat was really handled well. I've just got to learn how to row properly now, which I think is something that I'll pick up purely by doing it. You're never going to learn any other way. I'm not worried about the scratches in the boat, because it's going to get scratched because it's going to get used.
More bacon.
But it's been a fabulous day, and I'm pleased that Kath and Jimmy were able to come along with me to do it as well. And hopefully, of course, all you watching this now have come along as well. Next time we might try and get some more footage from in the boat and whatever, but today it's more about working out what to do. But she's got wet, and that's thanks to all your support, all the people who followed it on YouTube. Cheers everyone, I'll get back to you after the bacon's made. Well, just watching back whilst I'm editing the film and looking at the launch again, there was a little couple of problems with it, basically down to inexperience as always. I did forget to undo the shackle and the winch line off of the trailer. I should have done that sooner and then just put a bend around the upstand with the rope that Jim is holding, and then he could easily flip that off. And I should also probably have pushed the boat further off the trailer when I went back to unhitch that winch line, and it would have gone off then. I let the handbrake go a little bit. The slope is a lot steeper than you think from looking at the video, and I just was a bit overzealous with the letting go of the handbrake to do a hill start, and it did put a scratch on the boat. It caught one of the bilge rollers, I think, and put a scratch on it. But as I said earlier, the boat's going to get scratched. It's going to be used. So with hindsight, obviously, I didn't quite do it as I should. I've watched other people on videos, and they roll down the slope, the back end lifts up, and they sort of stop, and the boat floats off. Obviously, it couldn't do that because it was still attached. And for the future, I'm going to try a few different things. When we come to put the boat back on the trailer, we actually just rolled it down and attached the line, and then pulled the boat in line and then winched it on, and that pulled the trailer under the boat and the boat over the trailer. And it's actually a very light setup, really, and you can push it by hand. It's no different. It's probably even easier than pushing a wheelbarrow full of mud. And we just got it all in position and pulled up as far as we could, and then we walked it up the slope again between us. Wasn't easy, but as I say, I've got a couple of ideas to try some other things out, and obviously I'm been meaning to change the front brake pads for a while, because I think they're getting a bit worn, and they certainly were quite noisy dropping the boat down. So that's another thing to do. But at the moment, the boat factory is empty, because I've managed to secure a place in the paddock for the boat. Not paddock, it's called a compound. So I'm keeping it over at the boat club for a while, and obviously I can bring it back when I want to work on it. Like, I've got the ideas for the boat tent to work on and that as well, so I can just tootle over there whenever I fancy, and then put the boat in the water to have a row, which is another thing actually. Rowing, it's not as easy as people make it look. The oars work quite independent of each other and have a mind of their own. I'm not sure if they're long enough, those oars. They might be maybe a foot short, I don't know. But I've had some ideas given to me on that, and about getting some longer oars, and possibly. But it was a fabulous day, and I'm really pleased with the way the boat handled. With 3 of us in, it was just as easy to row as with one. In fact, maybe possibly slightly easier, because it seemed a bit more stable, but it was physically no harder to do than with just me on my own. And once I get it mastered, I'm sure that I should be able to go further afield. Although everyone who I've spoke to at the boat club has said, we want to get a motor on that, mate, because the current on the tide, it's a very tidal river, even up to there, which is probably about 15 miles inland. It is very tidal, and the race can be quite hard to push against, apparently, even with some of the smaller motors. I've got a Seagull type engine which I can work on through the winter to get going, and use that if I want to. But I figured that if you were going to have a boat, probably the first thing to do is to learn to row, because a motor can pack up at any time. You can run out of petrol, and you'll be buggered otherwise. So that's my philosophy really about why I'm doing it this way round, and it's everything I thought it would be and more. So really, my message to everyone is your support has been wonderful through the build, and I've always set out with, I always committed myself that I would see this through to the end, and the fact that everyone has invested a lot of time in watching me do this has proved that that's the right thing to do. It's nothing worse than going through a series of videos and finding the last one is not there, it hasn't been done, and I've always found that very disappointing, because I've done a lot of research about boats and I've watched other things as well that have interested me, and you get to a point and then the next video is not there, and it's a bit of a disappointment really. But hopefully what you've seen in this video has not been a disappointment to you, because it's only the start of a new series of adventures really. So thanks to Cuckoo for finding the boat in the first place, and for helping me by getting a trailer and towing it home. And I'm sorry I didn't get really any footage of that, but due to unforeseen circumstances there wasn't anything usable until I got it in the garage. But I've loved every minute of it so far, and I don't see why that shouldn't carry on in the future. Basically, I'm very happy with the whole of the project. It's been wonderful, and I'd just like to say thank you once again to everyone for your support, and there'll be more to come, so cheerio.